Hello friends. In our last lecture for the BSc second year semester third, we have discussed the digestion of or physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal part 1. That is, we have discussed the actual process of ingestion and the process of digestion in the buccal cavity, okay, then in the stomach and the small intestine. Okay, so in last lecture we have seen these two aspects in the physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal. Now in this lecture, remaining part is to be going, or the remaining part of this physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal will discuss here. Friends, we know, or already we have seen what is the ingestion, or what is mean by digestion. Okay, so see, the next means in the next it is the absorption. Okay, so when we think about the absorption, after the process called the digestion is completed in the stomach region or in the small intestine, the main and important aspect in the physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal is the absorption. Absorption is nothing but the entry of different substances from external environment, body cavity or hollow visceral organs into blood or lymph through the biological membrane is called absorption. Okay, and the absorption through the alimentary canal has a special physiological significance because through it essential nutrients are supplied to the body. See here, the alimentary canal or the absorption through the alimentary canal is very important as far as our body is concerned, because whatever the nutrients we have taken in the form of the food, that nutrients they are absorbed, okay, and that absorbed and it transferred to the all body parts. Okay, so few substances are directly from mouth cavity, especially through sublingual route. Okay, and the substances absorbed in this manner is they are directly from the mouth cavity. That particular substances absorbed in this manner have importance in the sense that they are, or they directly reach to the superior vascular system via jugular and do not enter liver first. Okay, that's why the absorption is very important aspect. Okay, so see here, the most of the substances are absorbed through small intestine. Whatever the food we have taken, okay, and that particular food, after the process called digestion, the nutrients they are absorbed, okay, and the most of the substances are absorbed through the small intestine. Okay, about the 5 to 8% of the digested food is absorbed in a duodenum. Okay, means whatever we have whatever the food we have taken, and from the particular food, near about 5 to 8% digested food is absorbed in the duodenum region, and the near about 90% of the food or the digested food is absorbed in the small intestine. Okay, that's why the small intestine play a crucial role in the absorption of food. Okay, then we discuss about the structure of the particular intestine. Okay, so as far as the basic structure is concerned of the intestine, the basic structure of the intestine or the basic structure of entire length of intestine is the same. Okay, it contains villi, microvilli, then breast border, goblet cells, then the blood capillaries, unstriated muscle fibers, then the crypts of Lubercuin, then Brindle glands, Peyer's patches, okay, etc. These are the some contents present in the intestine, okay, that all the contents or all the parts, they are useful to or to complete the digestion process, okay, in the intestinal region. Then the mucous membrane of the large intestine has Gobel cells and the absorptive cells only, okay, and the absorptive cells are adaptive for the absorption of water and minerals. Whatever the absorptive cell is there, that particular absorptive cells, they are used or they adapted for the absorption of water and the minerals, okay. And the absorptive cells again of the intestine absorb some part of the digested food from its lumen by a simple diffusion, okay, but most of the absorption takes place through the active transport. So whatever the absorption is takes place in the intestine, they are that particular absorption is takes place through the active transport, and the particular active transport, they have or they need energy, okay. So that active transport, they need energy, and the ATP molecule, they provide the energy to the active transport, that is the adenosine triphosphate, okay. That energy molecule is provided energy to the active transport, okay. Now see, this is the absorption, okay. That absorption is takes place in the small intestine, okay. Near about 90% of absorption or the digested food absorption is takes place in the small intestine, okay. Now the fourth part or the fourth part in this is the assimilation, okay. So what is assimilation? See here, all the consumed food is not assimilated. It means that all the food is not absorbed and utilized in the body. Whatever the food we have taken, they are not 100% they are utilized or they are not 100% absorbed, okay. But some part of the some part of it is adjusted out as a feces, okay. So determination of meaningfulness of food with reference to assimilation is done by subtracting the amount of protein, carbohydrate and fat in a fecal matter from the amount present in the food, okay. So see here, according to this assimilability of animal food is near about 95%, then the plant food is 80%, and mixed food, okay, whatever the food we have taken in the form of mixed means there are animal source or the plant source, okay. So the mixed food is about 82 to 90%. See here, okay. So different substances form as a result of digestion. A number of substances, they are formed after the digestion process. See here one by one, the glucose, okay, then the amino acid, then the free fatty acid, and then glycerol, then the phospholipid, then the cholesterol, nitrogenous bases, vitamins, salts and water, and many more substances, they are formed as a result of digestion, okay. So after the particular substances they are formed, finally they reach blood circulation after their absorption, okay. They finally reach blood circulation after their absorption. So these substances are used by all the cells of the body as a raw material as per their requirement. Whatever the food we have taken after the process of the digestion, number of product is there, the number of product is formed, and the product is useful or the used by the all the cells present in our body, okay. Or as per their requirement, they use the particular products, okay, the end products after the digestion or the absorption, okay. So in cells, these are used to produce energy or the synthesis of complex substances. When the cells, they use the particular products, and that particular products are used for the energy purpose or the synthesis of complex substances, okay. So in this way, these substances become the part of protoplasm, okay. So now the utilization of these substances by the cell. The utilization of these substances by the cell is known as assimilation, and the assimilated substances, they are called metabolites. Okay, these two terms, they are important: assimilation or the assimilation, the metabolites. Okay, so the assimilated glucose is used as a primary source of chemical energy. We know the glucose, it is used as a primary source of chemical energy. Okay, then the excess glucose is converted into glycogen. We know the whatever the glucose we have taken in the form of food, that particular food is absorbed, and some part or the excessive part of glucose is stored in the form of glycogen, and that process is called glycogenesis. Okay, so with the help of the glycogenesis process, the amount of or the extra glucose is stored in the form of glycogen. Okay, and the glycogen is stored in the muscle and the liver. Okay, so that particular glucose is converted into glycogen, and the glycogen is stored in the liver and the muscle. Okay, and whenever requirement is there, okay, whenever the required, the liver cell starts converting amino acids and glycerol into the glucose. Okay, whenever the body needs that particular time, the liver, it converts the amino acids, and the liver cell, it starts the converting into the amino acid and the glycerol from the into the glucose. Okay, and this formation of glucose is termed as gluconeogenesis. See here, the gluconeogenesis means it is the formation of glucose from the non-carbohydrate source. Okay, that's why whatever the glucose is stored in the form of or in the liver or in the muscle, okay, in the form of glycogen, that glycogen is again converted into glucose. Okay, that particular process is called gluconeogenesis. Okay, so some of the amino acids join Krebs cycle to produce energy, but most of them are utilized in making the proteins. Okay, this is nothing but the assimilation. Okay, or the part of the assimilation. Now the last part of this physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal is the egestion. The last and the final part of this is the egestion. So here, what is egestion? See here, after the absorption of end products of digestion, the undigested food or the undigested residue of the food reaches large intestine. Okay, means all the process, it's from the stomach, small intestine. Okay, that particular residue is transferred to the large intestine. Okay, and mucus is secreted from the mucous membrane. Okay, the mucus is secreted from the mucous membrane and of the large intestine, which form a covering on it. Whatever the residue is there, that particular mucus is secreted by the mucous membrane of the large intestine, and which is form a covering on the residue food. Okay, residue of the food. Okay, and most of the water and some salt, most of the water and some salts are absorbed in the large intestine. Okay, whatever the water or some salt present in the residue of the food, that particular water and salts, they are absorbed by the large intestine, and the undigested residues gradually become solid. Okay, lastly, the undigested residue, they gradually become the solid, and undigested residue of the food slowly move to rectum and take the form of feces. Okay, so lastly, the product is the feces. It is a residue of the food. Okay, whatever the food we have taken, all the process that completed from the your mouth to the last part, that is the rectum or the anus region, where the feces expelled out from your or our body. Okay, so this is nothing but the physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal. Okay, we have already seen the what is meant by ingestion, then the digestion. Okay, so digestion, in the digestion we have seen the places or the first the buccal cavity or the digestion of buccal cavity, digestion in the stomach region, then the digestion in the small intestine. Okay, after the process of digestion completed, or the digestion process is completed, then the next part is the absorption. Okay, so the absorption is also a very important aspect, because the 90% of absorption takes place in the small intestine. Okay, and later on whatever the residue is there, okay, means 100% they are not utilized. Okay, so whatever the residue is there, so that particular residue is transferred to the large intestine, and the number mucus membrane, or the mucus is secreted by the mucous membrane of the large intestine, and that particular mucus is covered on the residue of the food. Okay, so in this way the physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal is the takes place. Okay, so with this I am stop here. The next part in this unit is uploaded soon. Okay, so till then once again all students, they are requested, if you have any query about this physiology of digestion in the alimentary canal, okay, that you can ask in our Google Classroom, okay, or in my YouTube channel. Okay, so till then goodbye, stay home, stay safe. Thank you very much.